Alright, today we are talking about clauses. A clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb and may or may not stand on its own. Now the big difference, we've been talking about phrases, is clauses can stand on their own and they are actually called simple sentences. Independent clauses can be simple sentences, alright? Now there are two types of clauses. The first is called an independent and the second is called a subordinate. Now an independent clause can stand on its own, whereas a subordinate clause cannot, okay? The first thing we need to do is recognize the difference between a phrase and a clause. A phrase is a group of words that use it or that works as one part of speech. A clause is two. However, a clause can stand on its own and not be a noun, not be a modifier like a phrase can. But a clause can also be an adjective clause, a noun clause, or an adverb clause. Now let me show you some examples. First of all, let's look at our sentence here. First thing we do in sentence identification that I went over at the beginning of the year was find our verbs. We have are and paint, okay? These are our verbs, okay? Then the next thing we do is find our subject. We ask who or what, okay? So, who is going to the movie? We are, and that gives us our subject. And then, who is painting? They are. So we have subject and a verb. Now the next thing we need to look at is, can these stand on their own? Now we have to look at the word that is the connector. In this case, the word that is the connector is not an equal connector. Now equal connectors are words such as and, but, for, nor, so, and yet. These are also known as coordinating conjunctions. They are equal connectors. There are also correlative conjunctions that are equal connectors, but we'll go over those later. The next thing we need to look at is if the connector is subordinate. In this case, we have while, okay? A while is called a subordinating conjunction because it's telling you when, okay? So this tells you this clause right here is a subordinate clause because you can't write down on the paper, while they paint the basement. That's not a sentence. It doesn't stand on its own. Whereas you can write, we are going to a movie. That is called an independent clause because it will stand on its own. Now, you can have a sentence that's a compound sentence in which two clauses are connected by an equal connector, the coordinating conjunction, and we have Bob threw the ball and Bill caught it. Now here, we have Bob threw the ball, that can stand on its own, and you have Bill caught it. So you've got two different sentences that can stand on their own here. We have an independent here and an independent there, and that of course makes this a complex or a compound sentence. Right? So once again, terms for today: independent and subordinate clauses. Tomorrow we're going to talk about different types of clauses and how they're used in a sentence, subordinate clauses.